We start off watching a woman running from something or someone, and then we jump straight to a crime scene on the beach. Then we get this awesome opening sequence with Rosa dancing for us as the opening credits go by. I have no idea what's going on so far, but I'm not arguing with Ana de Armas dancing around like a go-go dancer. If anything, there should be more opening credits like this. I'm not just talking about women either. Dudes, robots, whoever the main character is should welcome us into their movie like this. It turns out that this entire dance is Rosa's audition for a part. The director tells her that they'll be in touch, and that's the end of that amazing opening. Later, we see Rosa getting ready for her shift at her day job, and she takes a call from Drazen. He tries to convince her to meet up that night, but she keeps trying to tell him that they'll never get back together. Rosa tries to point out that they're already 20 minutes behind, but Niella has no worries. While they clean the hotel, the boss shows up and yells at her for being late. Niella is a terrible coworker. She's standing right there, and Rosa's only that late because she had to go find her. She doesn't even say a word. As Rosa walks home from her shift, one of the women that was being dragged away stumbles up behind her. But Rosa throws on music and continues walking. Someone pops up and drags the body away again. When Rosa gets to an alley, she notices a voicemail from the studio that tells her that she got through to the final part of the audition. She also gets a message from her roommate that the washing machine is down. So Rosa heads to a nearby laundromat to wash the outfit for her audition tomorrow. She can sense a sinister aura coming from the alleyway, but she keeps creeping towards the laundromat anyways. Rosa throws her clothes in the washer and puts her name tag on her shirt so it doesn't get washed. Then she sits and goes over the choreography in her head. Since she's alone and got nothing better to do, she throws the music on her phone and practices the dance moves around the laundromat. Even as the lights start to flicker on her, she keeps practicing with her reflection in the window until she gets a phone call from her roommate. She steps outside to tell her that she's at the laundromat. Then she walks right back in and keeps talking. After walking around and talking, she gets ready to tell her roommate where she is, but she's startled by someone at the door. Not gonna lie, he got me too. This movie's so unpredictable with its style that I can't really pinpoint when a scare's coming up yet. I love that. The man slowly makes his way to a washing machine and throws down a bag of quarters. He uses a crowbar to open all of the washing machines to take the quarters, and Rosa makes her way slowly to the door. She could run, but she decides to stay with her things on the chair since she needs her clothes. She grabs her pepper spray and sits down. When the man notices that she's still there, he comes toward her. But then another man appears in the door with a duffel bag. Contemplating his options, the thief leaves, and Rosa thanks the man for showing up. Rosa grabs her broken phone, and she tells the man that she never got to tell her sister where she is. When a strange man shows up at a 24-hour laundromat, you don't tell him that no one knows you're there. I don't care if he's not as weird as the other guy. Any stranger at midnight in a strange place is strange. She's basically waving a beacon telling him to kidnap her since no one would know where she is anyways. He tells her that there's a payphone out in the alley, and he keeps watch as she calls her sister. When she goes back to the laundromat, she sits with the man and they get to know each other a little better. She even listens to his music to get a better understanding of him. But she's surprised to find that he's listening to music that's usually for older people. He seems to get defensive about the comment, but she promises that there's nothing wrong with it. When she talks about herself, he's surprised to find out that she's not actually Spanish, she's Cuban. Then he tells her to get up and dance for him. He tries to appeal to her fun nature and she's playing along. Soon he heads for the bathroom, and Rosa decides to take a sleeping pill so it'll kick in by the time she gets home. Just then, the washing machine seems to stop, and the man notices a dead body in the bathroom. He shuts the door and makes his way back outside. When he comes back out, he finds Rosa's going through his washing machine, and she hides the fact that she's found it full of bloody clothes. The man tells her that he's leaving to find a bathroom to use, but he knows that she's seen something that she shouldn't have. Once he's out of sight, Rosa rushes to get her clothes, and she runs out. This woman has no sense of caution. She barged right out of the laundromat like the guy was miles away already. He just walked out 4 seconds before you. How far do you really think he went? Naturally, she runs into him outside, and he chases her back to the laundromat where she locks him out. He tells her that he's not going anywhere, but she tells him that she isn't either. She plans to wait until someone arrives. He tells her that he never planned on hurting her. He was just there to clean his clothes. Then, with a smile, he walks off. Rosa sits on the ground and has flashbacks to the conversation they had like she just lost a lover from years ago. The conversation was 2 minutes ago, don't cry over him. Just then, he rushes back and tries to push the door open. Rosa manages to push a washing machine up against the door though. Who would have guessed that Rosa's that strong? She slid that machine like it was just another chair. Starting to think that he shouldn't mess with her actually. After taking a minute, he squats over Rosa's bag that she threw when she ran away, and he takes the keys to her apartment. When Rosa realizes that he's leaving to get her sister, she grabs the pepper spray and slowly cracks open the door. Suddenly, he calls out to her from just out of sight and toys with her. Now that she can't tell if he's going for her sister or waiting for her, she decides to go for the payphone across the alley. After getting some quarters, she cracks open the door again, but he's still just out of the way, teasing her about not warning her sister. He leaves her to make her decision, and she decides to make a run for the payphone. Once she gets to it, she sees that the phone cord has already been disconnected, and she makes a break for the laundromat. He beats her to it though, and the two of them face off for a moment. Rosa straight up whacks him with the phone receiver, and I felt my own face hurt for a moment. Seriously, is Rosa really worth the chase at this point? He'd be better off just running from the police instead. After Mortal Kombat brutality moving the guy, Rosa makes a break for the abandoned car that sits in the alley. After she gets inside, she locks the doors, but the passenger window's broken. As he reaches in to open the passenger door, Rosa literally rolls the broken window up on his arm and just keeps cranking it. If she doesn't survive the night, at least she'll know that he'll definitely lose that arm to infection now. She runs back to the laundromat as he breaks his arm out of the window, and he manages to grab her shirt just as she goes to get in. After she pepper sprays him, she takes a second to regroup as he does the same further down the alley. Just then, she gets a call on her busted cell phone, and it turns out to be Drazen. She tries to ask for help, but he's already blaming her for asking him for help even though earlier she basically said to never contact her again. Drazen apparently took the time to call to just tell her that he's tired of not being enough for her. Well, this is not the time for this. Rosa tries to call the police next, but the call goes out after she gets half a sentence out. Out of frustration, Rosa throws the phone against the door and it shatters to pieces again. She puts it back together in hopes that it'll work, but when you smash your phone multiple times, it tends to not work anymore. When she turns around one time, she finds a barefoot man is inside, and he goes to move the washing machine. She quickly tells him not to touch that, and he collapses against the line of machines. I'm sorry, she's not even questioning where this guy came from? She just accepts that he's part of the laundromat now? Like one of the laundromat gnomes? After she sits down with the creepy man, she passes out for a minute thanks to the sleeping pill she took earlier. When she wakes up, she finds that she's still in the same place, and she stumbles around the laundromat to try and keep herself awake now. She smacks herself to keep awake, and she heads back to the creepy guy to try and get some answers. He doesn't seem like a man of many words, and she ends up going in and out of sleep all over again. I can understand wanting to have a pill to kick in by the time you get home, but why would you even take it while you're at a creepy laundromat? Just wait the extra hour and make it home. Now she's having fever dreams of Niella and the creepy guy she's running from. A storm wakes her up, and she wakes up just in time to see the barefoot guy moving the washing machine and unlock the door. When he opens it, he wanders out into the rain, and Rosa locks it back and barricades herself in again. The storm rages on as Rosa tries to fight the sleeping pills, but what keeps her up is a strange sound she hears from the alleyway. She tells herself that she's staying in that laundromat until the sun rises, but then she remembers that she has her name tag pin. Apparently, her first thought is to jam the needle straight into the tip of her thumb to get the adrenaline racing through her. But the fact that that was her first go-to makes me wonder if she can stay alive the rest of the night. Just then, another woman shows up outside, and Rosa unlocks the door to ask her to call the police or lend her a phone. The woman seems to not believe her, but she calls for help anyways. The woman backs away from the laundromat, and Rosa calls her inside. I'm not entirely sure if this is a normal serial killer movie or a supernatural vampire movie. But the first rule of anything is to not invite anything inside. Rookie mistake. Once the woman comes inside, Rosa tries to plead her case, but the woman's a psychiatrist and tries to reason with her. After a short conversation, the woman starts talking to her telepathically. Well, now we know that Rosa's in real trouble. Rosa tries to explain that the clothes in the washer that are covered in blood belong to the killer, but the woman tries to pull out other options. When Rosa mentions that the killer's a man, the woman tries to argue otherwise. You're at a laundromat, it won't be hard to find one. When Rosa asks her why she came here, the woman mentions that she's there to pick up her clothes. Well, Rosa thinks that this is a good time to try and run outside. But once she unlocks the door, the other man comes in. It's obvious that the two are in cahoots, but soon the woman pulls out a strand of Rosa's sister's hair. The man may not have gone to her apartment, but this woman definitely did. The man smashes the remaining lights inside, and Rosa tries to plead for her life. When the lightning strikes, she sees the two killers for what they really are: vampires. The man comes over and bites Rosa, but soon the man with the quarters comes back. He fights the vampires, but the woman takes a chunk out of his neck. At least the quarter man bought Rosa enough time to make it to the bathroom to take off her shirt. The male vampire searches all over for Rosa, but he only finds her when she jumps out and reveals herself. In a nice little twist, we see that the vampire is actually getting sleepy since he drank her blood that had the sleeping pill medication. Meanwhile, the quarterman is still putting up a fight, and he manages to kill the woman with a mouthful of coins. The male vampire heads over to check on her, and we get a glimpse of how the woman vampire actually created the male vampire from her own blood. Back in the laundromat, Rosa creeps around the vampire as he mourns the loss of his creator, and she makes a break for the door. She ends up slipping on a pool of blood, and he immediately turns his attention to her. Just then the sun comes up, and he's surprised to find that he's okay in the sunlight now. Nope, never mind. He steps outside and literally melts away in the sun. I've watched a lot of vampire movies, but this death scene might actually stick with me for quite some time. Rosa leaves the laundromat, but now that her sister's gone, what else does she have? As she makes her way down the alley, she comes across her sister's dead body in front of the abandoned car. As Rosa sits there going over what the vampire told her in the night, her sister sits upright, shows her new vampire form, and snatches Rosa. Then the credits roll. I know I said it earlier, but more foreign films need attention. This is a great movie that does vampires justice, and Ana de Armas go-go dancing in the beginning will always have a permanent space in my memory now. Give it a shot. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this one. Comment what you think I should watch next, and I'll see you in the next video.